well-wishing and meditation. 10% happier self-care journey. Today is February 26, 2020. How's everybody going? Thanks for joining me. If you're joining me live and if you're watching afterwards, thank you so much for hanging with me on my journey. It's been a lot of fun. I guess it's been about, look back at my dates. It's been since December 6th. So coming up on 3 months now. Really exciting. Actually coming up on month 4 in a few days. Well-wishing and meditation. So let's talk about this. This is something that, we're very familiar with. We do this on a day-to-day basis. We utilize well wishes to aid ourselves with coping with things and to help others as well. So we're very familiar with this. I want to talk about it from a bit of a nuanced perspective today and give some thoughts on it. So let's just start off with a simple definition. Well-wishing is an expression of positive regard and hopes for good fortune. Here's some examples that we're all familiar with, especially when we're expressing it outwardly towards others. We're going to talk about how we can express it to ourselves today. Feel better soon. Hope you find strength with each day you are in our thoughts. I hope each day brings you closer to a full and speedy recovery. Hang in there. Better days are coming. Sending good, healthy vibes your way. Sending hugs and love. You're in all of our warmest thoughts as you recover. Best wishes for a little progress and a little encouragement every day during your recuperation. Best wishes that you would be back to doing all the things you love. May the good wishes and warm thoughts of those... I thought this was interesting right here. In fact, I saved this for last because this kind of leads to where we're going to go with it. May the good wishes and warm thoughts of those who care about you send a little cheerfulness into your world and help you to feel better. Now, all those other sentiments that I just gave, we're very familiar with those. This one I find interesting because it hits at the point of what I feel the real benefit of well wishes is. Many times when people are sending well wishes, and then some for people that are religious and spiritual that send prayers and that kind of thing, many times it's for a full investment in whatever the well wish is, and that's even done with well wishes. But I think the real charm and the real effectiveness of well wishes lies in this statement and the one that we're going to look at after this, which is that may the good wishes and warm thoughts of those who care about you. Like, it's actually the knowing that somebody is thinking about you, and that they care for you and that they want you to be well, sends you a little cheerfulness into your world and help you to feel better. And I really think that that's what it is. A lot of times when, we send well wishes and a person is feeling better and they recover, I don't think it's magic, so to speak. I mean, we could speak about it colloquially as magic because it is a change in brain chemistry, a change in state. But I don't think it's magic from the perspective of a miracle or something that was done from some other source divinely and that kind of thing. Even though I'm familiar with that perception, I think that it's more so because the person themselves, when you feel better or when you feel loved, when you feel cared about, when you feel like somebody's thinking about you, that naturally makes you feel better, puts you in a better mood, makes you more optimistic. In some cases, it makes you more cooperative. It makes you relax a bit more, allows you to breathe, a bunch of things that wind up being helpful to your state and can allow you to be led to either a recovery or something changing. Hold on one second. Let me turn off this fan in my room. It's a little chilly. But I think this is an important thing. I think this is an important thing to talk about and to look at from this perspective. Hey Ralph, thanks for hanging out. Thanks everybody who's hanging out with me. I think that it's important to look at it from this perspective because it puts a more realistic touch on what's going on, which I think is really important with real coping, really being at peace, and really being happy. Which I don't feel that peace is dependent so much on expectations for things to be better, or the idea of a miracle of things being better, so much as the acceptance of what is at all times, without even needing at some point some kind of well wish or wish in a direction of things being better. Because I think that that's where we get hung up, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on in these notes. So, yeah, I think there's power in that statement. May the good wishes and warm thoughts. Let me emphasize that better. May the good wishes and warm thoughts of those who care about you, may that send cheerfulness into your world and help you to feel better. I don't know why I'm having a hard time saying cheerfulness today. Well-wishing allows the wisher to cultivate feelings of love, acceptance, kindness, and empathy for oneself, others, and the surrounding environment. And that's kind of a way that I came, up to put it, or a way that I came up with to summarize it. It allows the wisher to cultivate feelings of love, acceptance, and then also conversely, the person, if they know, they say that this is a completely contrasting but interesting finding that was done via some actual studies and that kind of thing. Hey Kevin, thanks for hanging out. Interestingly, and this is what shows that there's dynamics to this and there's no magic. It just depends on how it affects a person. And from there, two things happen. The inevitables of life. So no matter what you wish, no matter what you pray for and that kind of thing, things are just what they are and they don't change. And you have to that's why acceptance is important. Or on the other side, which is that it does affect the person in some way. And a study found that some people who actually know, let's talk about for a second the form of well-wishing that many people who are religious or spiritual use, which is like prayer and that kind of thing. They say that some people who know that they are being prayed for actually do worse as far as their recovery or these kind of things because of a pressure, in some cases, of feeling like they need to actually perform better, like they actually need to be better, or else they'll disappoint the person who's actually sending them the well wishes. I thought that was very interesting because it makes sense, that you would have some scenarios where people with well wishes, it actually lifts their vibe, lifts their spirit, lifts their energy, and allows them to actually do better or be more cooperative or have a more positive outlook, thereby healing themselves, or if it's not to do with their body, it's just a circumstance, and they go out and change their circumstance. They go out and do something courageous that they couldn't do. Or the other side, which is performance anxiety. So it's important to really know that, so we can understand how to deal with this concept. So yeah, but when it works well, it can allow the wisher and the person being wished for to cultivate feelings of love, acceptance, kindness, and empathy for themselves and others in the surrounding environment. And that ultimately does have an effect on, if nothing else, your mindset with how you move through things. So yeah, when doing this, don't look for the perfect words. There's no such thing as perfect in my observation of things, so I'm just using it colloquially. Don't look for the perfect words. The goal is to use this practice for the quality of attention. For the quality of attention that it gives us. Use whatever words allow you to offer kindness without triggers, feeling inauthentic, overthinking, or overanalyzing. And I put those characteristics together like that because I think that those are the things that we deal with when we're unrealistic without well-wishing. And for people that are religious and spiritual, when we're unrealistic without praying and that kind of thing. That's the deal. It is that you have to use words that allow you to offer kindness without triggering yourself or the person, without doing something that's actually inauthentic or unrealistic, or even feeling that way, because that'll affect you and affect another person. without overthinking it or overanalyzing it. And that to me is the point of how you want to choose your words. And we'll talk about some of those kind of things. We're going to move at some point for a few minutes into offering well wishes to ourselves, and using phrases. So well wishing should not be confused with naivete, to avoid accepting a truth, or in place of extending physical help when possible. And those that know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. I'm going to break it down in a few seconds. Most times, well-wishing positively affects the mental perspective and capacity of the giver and the receiver, which at times can lead to a physical manifestation. When it doesn't, it's because life is life, and it has inevitable circumstances that cannot be avoided. It's important to be realistic and mindful at all times while applying this practice, so as not to become irrational or too attached to expectations. I meant to put another O in my word too. I had one O. So I forgot to paste the notes to the chat. I'm doing that right now. If you are watching this live, it's in the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube afterwards, it's going to be in the description and in the chat. So let's take that back from the top again. Well-wishing should not be confused with naivete. There are many times people use that to really just paint a picture of something that's just not even realistic. Like you can see the effects, you can see what's going on, you can see it's not going to change. And so we kind of do it in a way sometimes to just willfully be ignorant about what we're dealing with or what we're looking at. And that's something I started realizing like years ago when I started studying religion and spirituality really closely, and our practice in that kind of thing. I started realizing like, sometimes we can be very unrealistic. But what we call it sometimes when we're doing that is being deeply faithful, or being, that's usually what's called in religion, when I realized, there are times when it actually is reasonable to have certain wishes or expect certain things, or even in that context, pray for certain things. And then there are times when it doesn't make sense actually. And we just are, many times we're too afraid to be honest with ourselves because it hurts too badly to deal with the inevitables of life. But I just got to a point where I realized that I don't think that the answer, even though it temporarily benefits us, the answer isn't overextending or being naive in the midst of something that we can obviously tell is going a particular way, or we should be dealing with it a different way via acceptance and via shifting our focus to other aspects of looking at it positively. There are too many times where I've seen people pray for things and be so adamant about yes, we know that this is going to happen. This is what we know. And then when it doesn't work out, then they go, well, it must have been something else. It must have been just beyond our understanding, or maybe this was meant to be. It's that's when we get to doing acrobatics and gymnastics, like mental acrobatics and gymnastics, just because we're having the hardest time accepting reality. And yes, it's something I've realized for a while. So it shouldn't be confused with naivete, or to avoid accepting a truth, or in place of extending physical help when possible. And that goes to the place of when, there are times when all you are able to do is extend well wishes because you don't have the capacity to be helped otherwise. And then there are times when you have the capacity to lend a helping hand, and people will just extend well wishes or just pray for a person when they know very well that person actually needs something else, but they just don't want to necessarily do it. And they don't want to feel guilty about not doing anything. Let's talk about it, because y'all know it's true. And I'm not saying that it's always the case, but it is the case at times, and we aren't being honest with ourselves. So the goal isn't to use it in place of extending physical help when that's actually possible. Most times, well-wishing positively affects the mental perspective and capacity of the giver and of the receiver, which at times, and I say at times, and I say the word can, because I'm careful about being irrational about it, which at times can lead to a physical manifestation or a different scenario. When it doesn't, it's because life is life and it has inevitable circumstances. That's why it's important to be realistic and mindful at times while applying this practice, so as not to become irrational or too attached to expectations. I've seen us in our various thought systems become too attached to expectations, where when life is life and we finally have to accept that things won't change, it becomes the hardest thing in the world. But it's because we've been focusing ourselves in an unrealistic direction, or we've been, you know how they say too much of anything is not good? Thank you, Lester. Thank you, Lissetti, for hanging out. You know how they say too much of anything is not good for you? This is one of those cases where, at times we feed ourselves certain aspects of what we would consider positivity, optimism, faithfulness, well wishes, those kind of things, to the point of naivete, where they hurt us. Because we're overextending, and everything has its limit and everything makes sense in certain contexts. If you find that a phrase does not work for you, find ones that do. So what I'm talking about here is, one thing we're going to do for just a few short minutes is a meditation around well wishes and extending well wishes to ourselves and to others. And I'm always paying attention to something sounding too lofty or head in the clouds kind of vibe. So if you have anything that's like that, when we use phrases like "May I be well," "May I be safe," "May others be safe," if you feel like that, then just switch up your phrases. Just use what works for you, so that you don't have to overthink and be in your head too much. So with that, I'm going to invite us into a short meditation. You can pretty much do this wherever you are. You don't have to have your eyes closed. You don't have to stop and do, it's what I call the 30-second meditation technique, which is just 3 deep breaths and 10 seconds of just being in that place of mindfulness, where for a second you can just detach and be non-judgmental about yourself and others and circumstances, and just be with your breath. So you could close your eyes. I'm going to actually close my eyes, and we're just going to take 3 deep breaths, long inhales and long exhales. With this, we know that breathing deeply, or we're reminded that breathing deeply allows us to slow our heart rate down. It allows us to decompress. It allows us to relax and settle in. So with that, we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. So let's take a deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. And one more final deep breath in and out. And we're just going to take a few more moments to just be in that place and to just relax and settle in. You can allow your breath to return back to its normal pace, or you can continue with the intermittent deep breathing exercises. So as a practice, I want to invite you to just kind of silently say phrases to yourself that allow you to feel that sense of well-wishing. So you're going to use phrases like, "May I be well," "May others be well," "May I be safe," "May others be as safe," "May I be at peace," "May others be at peace." And just take a second to use those phrases in order to allow you to settle in, or use whatever phrases allow you to just kind of settle and relax into a place of positivity and optimism. So you can also bring others to mind that are personal and significant to you. And you can use that in order to direct your attention that way. Maybe someone who has made you feel positive or good, or made you feel loved. Someone maybe who has extended well wishes to you as well, or has helped you out in some way and just made your life better and benefited you. You can take a second to offer those same well wishes in that direction and allow that to give you a sense of peace, calmness, and a sense of positivity that you're doing something positive to help yourself and to help your perspective outwardly about others. And so as we bring this short practice to a close, I'm going to take one more deep breath in and exhale out. And as you go throughout your day, just remember that you can use deep breathing practice for short periods of time to settle in, and use some phrases of well-wishing towards yourself and towards others in order to continue to cultivate your perspective about yourself, others, and the environment around you. So thanks a lot for joining me for that practice. You know, this is something that you can use at any given time, and I invite you to come back even to this, rewind the tape, so to speak, and just use it to settle in. You know, it's really mindfulness, like small aspects of mindfulness that allow you in different circumstances to keep your equanimity volume high, you know, your mental composure and calmness, you know, or to be able to be patient with others or whatever is needed for the job at the time. So just remember that and join me tomorrow for the same damn thing. We just keep practicing this one day at a time. It's like going to the gym. You know, you're just working out one day at a time. You can increase your capacity, your mental and emotional stamina, your emotional intelligence, and your emotional resilience by just being open to it and just putting it into practice for yourself. So I hope that helped you. Please drop a line if it did. The music that you're hearing in the background right now is my own original composition. It's called Contemplation. If you enjoy it, you can check it out on my project called Key Reflections. You can just Google Key Reflections Aaron Hill, and it's everywhere. You can check it out and add it to your playlist of choice. Other than that, if you'd like to help me to continue to make content like this or the other content that you see me do on a daily basis, then look out for that information in the comment section or description of this video. And as always, take care, peace, and be well. Thanks.